side has a fan in the net. Does it have to get out? Okay.
Hey, good job. Get something else for you.
Awesome. There's showers here? Nobody lasts there.
Really beat me.
I got a hose up there.
Might use that.
Get your push up.
6.5 hours.
I'm trying to.
My father was the bus driver for the Niagara Falls Flyers, who were the Junior A farm club for the Boston Bruins. So I went to lots of trips and games with him when I was real young and just got the fever to play hockey. So I was around it since I was like 4 years old, and then I started playing what they call house league hockey, ice hockey. But before that, we were always playing what we call road hockey on the street. Backyards and schoolyards, 4 or 5 guys, and a goalie with barely any equipment. Nobody really wore any equipment, maybe garden gloves and sticks. And we would use a tennis ball, and tennis balls bounced a lot, so we would put a nail in it, take the air out of it, and that way stop it from bouncing. Still did. We used just old sticks, wooden sticks, and we would play from 5-6 hours at a time when we were young, and we barely ever had to move our goals if we had any. A lot of times we had only a couple rocks separating 4 or 5 feet, and the ball you went in the net, you still chased it. Well, my friends, Joe Murray and I, we were in high school at the time. I was in my last year, and Joe was a couple years behind me, and Joe and I loved the game. We were now playing in gyms, and what had happened was the orange ball had just came out. As you know, we're the official ball of USA Ball Hockey. We are also the official ball of the National Ball Hockey League, which is having their national championships this weekend. I'm Ricky Laperriere. I'm the president and owner of Milek. I'm from here in Winchendon, Massachusetts. I grew up here. Grew up actually across the street from the original factory up in Winchendon Springs. Milek was incorporated in May of 1970. A gentleman by the name of Raymond Leclerc, who had a previous company called Ray Plastic, and they made toy guns and other kids' toys. Ray was in the toy industry long before he was in the hockey industry. And he would always go into stores and be shopping around, looking at different things, different products that were popular with the kids and so on. So he's in a store looking at some stuff, and by accident he knocked down a kid's toy, and he noticed when it fell off the peg it didn't bounce. So he then bought it, sent it to a plastic company, and had them reverse engineer the materials. He created the first orange ball, which we call the orange ball that started it all. So we went down to the library one day, and in the library, the hockey news had come out, and there was a couple pages in there about other hockeys, and one of them was street hockey being played here in Leominster. We went home that day, and I got a magazine called the Hockey Weekly, and in there was another story about the guys over here in Leominster, Mass. So what Joe and I did was we started to find out where it was, where this rink was, and how we could get involved. Joe Murray and I went on the radio, and we raised $1,200, which in 1972 was quite a bit of money. It paid for everything we needed. I called Rich Rossetti, and that got me to Ray Leclerc. At first, Rich Rossetti was saying, well, no, you can't talk to him. And I said, well, we need to. We've raised our money. People know we're going. We've been in the Niagara Falls newspaper, had given us a lot of press. So that's kind of like the talk I had with Mr. Leclerc. And he called me a day later, and he agreed. So the next day we got to the rink, and it was packed with people all the way around it. This was the series. A lot of them were ex-minor league pros. They were big, and we were a bunch of skinny kids.
I told Joe Murray at the time, I think we're going to have trouble beating these guys. Little did I know it would be the other way around. We scored 7 seconds into the game. Great players in the Hall of Fame here. Dave Guitar scored, and then the rest was history. We beat them 9-1. The great thing about Mr. Leclerc was he involved me in his vision, and his vision was to make the game bigger and produce this Leominster deck hockey place, which was going to be 2 rinks with a big building inside, which we're sitting in now. So I always have taken a lot of pleasure in the fact that the kids coming through the programs here, number one, have basics, get a lot of playing time, and become better athletes. And what makes better athletes is exposure to the game. They have 3 rinks here. They get a lot of hockey. Coaching, too. You know, we have good coaches. A lot of the coaches we have now that bring teams in the tournaments, they played here when they were kids. So they've learned the ins and outs.
If you get a stick in a kid's hand and they start to play the game, they fall in love with it, and then they move up to ice hockey and they move, up the line and they become a fan. It's very easy for a kid to, no matter what level, as long as they can walk or run or skip or hop, they can play street hockey or deck hockey, have fun in their backyard. Some go to travel teams, some just play house leagues the whole time and have a blast. But the more kids we can get into the game and, outside and becoming healthy and playing, a sport that we all are passionate about and love, that's what we want to do, and that's what Milex always done.